So on the 25th, which was last Friday, they did some game adjustments, and we have monsters, increased chance for camp chest spawns, rebalanced loot tables for monster camp chest, rebalanced loot tables for mini bosses, mobs in all elite wolf and imp camps now have 10% more HP, rebalanced loot tables for wolf alpha, imps, fire starters, witch and executioner, lizard draco improved AI, Dendroid guard abilities and visual effects of the mob have been reworked, and Archosaur improved animations. That's for the monsters. So after they brought down the HP on the mobs, now they're increasing them by 10% in some of them. Lizard Draco improved AI. They worked on the AI on the last patch before this one as well, and the visual effects of Dendroid were worked on the last time as well. Improved animations, I think that's new, but they did do some visual effect works on the last patch as well, so they're still trying to improve visuals and AI. On the items, which also is very important, and let me just say another thing here, the whole increase of this camp chest will also bring more materials into the crafting area, because they drop a lot of stuff, and if they actually did rebalance it, and now it works, because the loot tables have been changed and rebalanced, I don't know, 5-6 times so far, maybe even more. So that would be a good thing. On the items that a lot of you are interested in, I know some people stopped playing, including myself, because of item problems. Didn't upgrade right, didn't drop enough, you know, you already have them. Let's see what changed this week. Update items binding types. So epic resources not bound. So now you can trade them freely even after you leave a group. There's no longer the 2-hour limit. Recipes not bound, so anything you can pick up, you can give it to your alts if you need to, you can give it to your friends, no timer. T1 and T2 artifacts and weapons bind on equip, so whether you craft them apparently or you pick them up, you can still give them to someone. T3 artifacts, runes and chips bind on pickup, those ones you can't trade yet. T3 items are crafted with a bind when traded. Type, as long as you're crafting with someone with 100% efficiency in the corresponding profession, except overclocked and upgraded versions. That is good. That is good. You can trade them now. Just to point out again, not overclocked and upgraded versions. All overclocked and upgraded items bind on pickup. The chains and bind type does not apply to items already owned by players. So this is for all the new items after the 25th of January. So if you made anything before that, also have to say this way, the way they do it, like all the changes apply to new items. It's kind of nice and not for some people. You know, some people gather a lot of materials, so they craft in advance if they hear something's going to happen. So this kind of like negate the whole craft before to be ready. Rebalance runes for Dark Horse, Antelope and Cheetah. The movement speed bonus have been reduced from maximum of 15 to 20 down to 10 to 15. The artifact power reduction has been increased to 100%, 85, 70, 55. The chain in artifact power reduction will not apply to runes that have already been slotted. Overclocked bonuses were reduced by half. Dark Horse, Antelope and Cheetah runes are no longer stackable. Adjusted mana values in artifacts increased from maximum of 120 to 240, from 200 to 400. So here we see that they're trying to balance things by bringing them down again. I mean, some goes up, but most of them go down. The overclock bonus going down to half. I know it sounds bad, but further down the stream, you'll see why this is happening. Also, they seem to be increased the values in artifacts on mana since they have this scaling that they did with mana and everybody was struggling and complaining. Now, instead of having instead of say 20% scaling drop down to 15, they're amping up the artifact values. I don't think you are wrong. They do have a hard time balancing things, and the thing is, this is only 6 classes. We have another 12 to come into the game, and it's going to have different stats. It's going to be nightmare as we go along. Fixed all recipes for Technomancers, Tempest, and Arcane Visage artifacts. Improved visual effects on interactable wheat bags. So that's for the items. Some good, some bad, but the balancing is happening. These patch notes are much better than the previous ones. Hero adjustments for our favorite characters so far. Shaman. Shaman totem damage adjusted scaling from spell power was increased from 30%, now is increased up to 40%. Improved visual effects on the projectile from Shaman Totem, and Shaman Lightning Strike damage adjusting scaling from spell power was decreased. It was before maximum 90%, now it's down to 80%. Shaman seems to be getting only nerfs so far. I mean, maybe needs it, I don't know, I don't play one, I'm just saying that a lot of classes seem to be only going down these days. Blast Medic, dual purpose bouncy bomb. The mana cost now dynamically scales based on the target type. So if you heal somebody, it will scale, your mana will scale with heal power. If you're dealing damage to somebody, it will scale with spell power. Before it was scaling with both on the last patch. So they split it to make it more balanced and fair, I suppose. Flashbang Shield Generator, the mana cost now scales based on 10% of bonus, attack power and heal, ensuring better synergy with hybrid builds. Holo Decoy Projector, mana cost adjustment now scales with 10% spell power and heal power, making it more versatile for different builds. And Omnifaction Drone, the mana cost now adapts based on the target again. If you heal somebody with it, it scales with your healing power, and if it's damage, then it scales with your spell power. Overall, I think the changes on the Blast Medic, they're okay. They probably require more balancing further down the line, especially with the massive changes that are happening. We'll see some of them, the massive changes that are happening into the artifacts. Okay, we'll touch on that a little bit later. Infiltrator, Toxic Blades, Talent description fixed, and Talent description fixed, new virtual effect added. Kind of funny, the Infiltrator, he hasn't gotten a lot of stuff. I don't know if that class actually happened to be balanced. Now, we do go into crafting here, and I know crafting is a major part of the game, especially, I would say, not especially, but I would say for most people, despite the fact that I know that a lot of people also say, oh, only play for the PvE, only play for the PvP, but crafting is essential in a lot of things, especially in Corepunk. So we have major changes happening with the crafting and synthesis machine. We're going to start here, and that's going to carry on afterwards into the newsletter, okay? Because they have new stuff there as well. So the dismantling tool is now a synthesis consumable. Before, for those who don't know, was a little item. You can click it, drag it on an item, it would break it down to basic materials. And if you're lucky, if you do it on T3, you could get a rare material, an epic material from that. Now it becomes a consumable into the synthesis machine. So anything you want to do with it, you no longer have to drag it on the item. You place it into the synthesis machine along with the item you want to dismantle, and then you use the fuel, and then it works. So now it's not free. We have the cost of the fuel. You have to find it or you have to buy it. So now you can dismantle multiple items at once. Now, I don't know if you're dismantling multiple items at once, you need a consumable for each item dismantled this way. So instead of dragging to each item, you put 4 dismantlers and 4 items, 1 fuel, and you get 4 items being dismantled. Convenient. Right click, just everything goes in, very quick and nice. Now you can add an item, its recipe, and a dismantling tool into the synthesis machine to retrieve all the materials used to craft that item. This works with both upgraded and overclocked items. Now this is a massive change for crafting. Also, it is a wonderful money sink for the game, because let's say you do an overclocked, or you do an upgraded. Let's start with that. Let's say you do an upgraded one because you have the mats, and then you're like, oh, okay, now I have the rest of the stuff that I needed, plus what I used for the upgraded. I need to do an overclocked. Okay, then you put the recipe in there, and then you put the upgraded item, and then you put the dismantling tool. You break it down, you get 100% back, and then you put the rest of the materials you need to do an overclock. So you can go up and down in crafting now what you want. They don't get wasted. Like when I was doing my T3s, I was like, I don't want a T3, I want a T3 overclocked, right? So if now I have this chance, buying a recipe, let's say for 1,000 gold, it may sound a lot, but people that play as many hours as we do, 10, 12 hours a day, weekends or whatever, 1,000 gold in Corepunk is not very difficult to come by if you actually do right. And especially now that the economy is going to start working out, and we also have the scouts to give you a lot of money, it wouldn't be a big problem. But this is a major change, that you can break down your items and get back 100%. Now, they've added a new mechanic. Now you can add the recipe of the item you are producing in synthesis to gain additional stars to its attributes for each recipe added. So more money sink, more money, better stars on the primary. This, if not mistaken, this only affects the primary stats, which means basically you can spend money for better stars on the primaries. Therefore, you don't have to spend so many reroll items and fuel. Keep doing it, up, down, up, down. You can now make it, let's say, straight to 4 stars or maybe sometimes 5. From what I've read on Discord since Friday, this wasn't working very well. They've been doing some adjustments and restarts to fix this. Maybe now or by Friday will work a little bit better, but people are still testing things. Now, additionally, we've introduced synthesis recipes for tier 2 and tier 3 artifacts, mirroring regular recipes, specifically designed for this mechanic. In the future, similar recipes will be added for all items. Known issue. A visual bug may cause the number of stars to display incorrectly after upgrading. This issue does not affect attribute values. Stats of items crafted in Synthesis Machine are now enhanced by the quality of the materials used, specifically the number of stars in the main stats of the used item. Each star starting from the third adds 5% to the roll crafted items, and for the 5th star, an additional 5% is added, totaling 20. Okay, so quality item. So you have to put in a 3-star purple, a 5-star purple to get that extra 5 and total 20% for better stats. Okay, some people will, some people might find it to be hard. However, the mechanics and the possibilities for crafting excellent items on the first roll without doing stuff is there. Now, this patch on the 25th, last Friday, also had some bug fixes, where, let me just put this a little bit higher so you guys can see this. Fix the bag with the skull drops from Scrags in the swamps. They're not meant to drop any skulls in the swamps, as far as I remember, so maybe that's what they fixed. Fixed an issue where the chance to proc additional effects was not displayed on weapons with quality higher than common. Address cases of empty camps with unlootable chests. Oh god, thank god, that was a big problem before. Fixed an issue where players remained in the game for an extended time after internet disconnection, preventing re-entry. Corrected chest system rules to function intended with PvE and PvP zones, and fixed an issue with tier 3 iron nodes not providing the correct amount of resources. And they carried on a little bit. I don't know why they did it in 3 posts. Maybe there's a word limit, I suppose. General improvements, game client performance optimizations, and an extra bug here, fixed an issue where weapons are synthesized without additional attributes. These are the patch notes from the 25th of January, last week.